All right. Hi, welcome everybody. It seems I have a little bit of extra time, so I'll see if I can fill it up a little. This is the UX showcase for Verify CI, setting up GitLab CI. So a little bit of background first. The CI stage group lives under the umbrella of Verify. This is the first UX showcase for the Verify stage. And the arrow on the right kind of pinpoints me. So hi, I'm Dimitrie, one of the product designers at GitLab, working on the CI stage. And I think it's interesting to point out that we have a stage group which is in a lovable state. I will come back to that a little bit later into this presentation as well. And I want to point out that we have a new product manager, Tao, which I've been working together with closely with through some of this effort. So let me see towards the next one. I'm using this presenter view, so I'm wondering how it exactly works, but here we go. So I'm going a little bit about the background first. In 2019 Q2, we started working on the UX scorecard effort for setting up GitLab CI. This was basically a heuristic-based usability evaluation. And I think it's interesting to at least point out here that we evaluated it with a C, which is average. And it means that this workflow is in need of improvement, but users can still finish completing the test, though it usually takes longer to complete the test than it should, and users may even abandon the process or try again later. And that kind of conflicts with the lovable state of the CI stage group. So there's work to be done here for sure. To give a little bit of insight into what came out of that, we had 4 themes emerging, and I think the ones that I want to point out are user guidance and offering feedback. Those were the themes or areas with the most amount of improvements possible, the most amounts of pain points, and that will come back later in this presentation as well. A little bit of results coming out of that. There were 6 low-weight usability issues tentatively scheduled, of which 2 were eventually implemented. There was limited availability to put that into the milestones back then, but I digress. So let's go on to 2019 Q3, Q4. So we moved into the Q3 territory, and what we decided to do is to evaluate or reevaluate this experience, but then validating it with 9 real users in the end. I want to point out that this is the first UX scorecard validated by real users. It was a really nice experience to do so. And it was tested with 6 software developers. Developers, set up CI as well or work with CI. It's mostly on smaller scale projects, while DevOps engineers are more enterprise focused and tackle a little bit larger task or more specific to it. We synthesized together with product management, UX and UX research, and arrived at insights. You can get a little bit of more of a view into those following the links below. But the themes that were emerging, and I hear that my AirPods are low on battery, so I hope they will last through this session. Is that the creation and the validation stage are the most important. Those are the areas where we have users spending the most time figuring out how to proceed, but also highlighting the most pain points. And it kind of falls in line with what we did in Q2. I'll quickly go back where we see here user guidance and offering feedback, where here it is creation and validation. And validation closely aligns with getting feedback and finding out what actually happened after you've created your configuration and submitting it. So let's move on to, I want to highlight some key insights coming out of the validation effort to kind of showcase why it was important to do so. 6 out of 9 users were observed by reporting being low in confidence when setting up GitLab CI. So that's that creation stage, and they kind of pinpointing directly or indirectly to a need for a guided setup experience. I think it kind of tells as well that on average people needed 4-page navigation, so they needed to cross at least 4 pages in GitLab. So think of the pipeline list page, the pipeline detail page, the job view where they can read the job log, then move back to the pipeline list page again, including the page loads that take time, right? For users to complete the validation part of their flow for setting up GitLab CI. And I think there's a lot of time lost, and as well as an area of opportunity for us to improve. Let me see the last one. 4 out of 9 users encounter a pipeline failure as their first feedback. So I'm pinpointing a little bit, or pointing at some chance for us to do some positive reinforcement and up that confidence while setting up GitLab CI. I think there's an opportunity there. And additionally, as a pipeline reports on a failure, the pipeline does not, in fact, do the things that the user wants it to do, or at least partly doesn't do that, and will not generate immediate user value. They will indeed instead need to spend additional time fixing it in order to move on and do the next step in that. More information again in the link below. So then we are at the timeline right now. There are 10 issues currently that came out of that. 4 are tentatively scheduled, and 2 are in development already. I think it's, to name a few, an example of that is, for example, direct status reporting. When users are hopping between the different pages within GitLab to find out what is going on with their pipeline. Why don't we offer that information directly, page agnostic, basically, and inform them in a better way, as well as, for example, improving the efficiency of use for the CI linting. For example, if your configuration is misconfigured, we should report back to the user as fast as possible, instead of them needing to copy paste, go to the CI linting tool page, paste it in there, and then press the validate button in order to find out what is wrong with it, instead of just knowing that it is invalid. Just some examples there. And I think that the most important part of this is that some of these issues or pain points are a little bit more difficult to fix. And for that, we've set up a discovery to have a North Star approach towards iteratively guiding the user to setting up GitLab CI. So we want to have a high amount of confidence and give them small amounts of data at the same time, so that they can set up GitLab CI while being positively reinforced along the way. There's a link again at the bottom if you're more interested. So to give a little bit more body as to why we're doing that, I dived a little bit into our direction page, into reports that we officially recognize at GitLab, and also discussed it with my product manager. And I think I want to start out with the first one, which is actually an old research done by, I believe, Catherine, one of our UX researchers, on the CI/CD adoption and usage research results. And a specific insight from that report is that the setup of GitLab CI is indeed a cumbersome process. So it kind of aligns with our story here and what we've seen from validating with our users. The CI/CD direction page indeed states that, for example, GitHub has a strong product positioning and adoption. So we have a strong competitor there, where we want to be, of course, a little bit better. And our CI/CD performs particularly well under endless review and represents our foot in the door. So as people are using competitor products, our CI/CD alongside of our Git repertoire is the way to get users using GitLab. So I think having CI be on top of their game, be the door towards all other stage groups in GitLab on the ops side of it, is, I think, a really good thing to have. And lastly, we have the opportunity to engage competitive customers. Basically the same thing what I was saying there, but this is a quote from our direction page, with our better solution and bring them on board. And lastly, in terms of like analytics report, this is not solely focused on CI as in the way that we're now describing it, but I think it's still relatable, that our developer experience is being rated at 3.8 out of 5, and our platform strength for CI/CD for GitLab is rated as a 3.2 out of 5. So I'm working with Tao on a hypothesis that we potentially improve this with the results coming out of this discovery when implemented. So let's go on to the business goal: increase adoption of GitLab CI by potential customers looking for a better CI tool to adopt. by lowering the bar to setting it up. So kind of falling in line with those opportunities and direction page scribblings. And here's a little bit of a guesswork still. So this is work in progress, but I think it's worth telling about the SMAU score. So this is unique uses editing, for example, the GitLab CI YAML. And these are daily unique uses over each data point represents 7 day. And it is quite low. It doesn't grow too much. And I think that as we improve GitLab, setting up of GitLab CI, that number will grow as more individual users will be able to edit the CI and also will be willing to do so. Let me see. So then the job to be done. So with this new exploration, we defined the job to be done again. It's closely similar to the user story. So when trying out GitLab CI, I want to learn the feature quickly so I can get my code tested and deployed faster with more confidence. And eventually you can then, for example, compare it with your existing configuration with a competitor product. Again, I think this is another highlight we can mention. The exploration already kind of pinpoints towards a few opportunities. And when looking at the moonshot, a very little used label within our issue tracker, we have a few issues there which are literally moonshots, so big areas of opportunity, and two of them already align with the way we're thinking. One of them is a visual editor for GitLab CI YAML, and there's also suggested edits to fix common errors detected by CI. So we want to, be of help or of assistance towards the user even before it's needed, and help the user that way. So going a little bit into the next one, and I see I have one more interesting issue actually. It's also about less context switching, as I heard in one of the other presentations. We can help automate that navigation as well. So showing jobs in context of pipeline might be an opportunity for us to explore, but that comes up later. So we started out with a story map. This is just an intermediate one, but I think it was nice to highlight that sometimes working behind the PC as us remote designers can kind of not bring that spark of creativity. So then moving towards real paper might be a solution, as I did. Eventually, we have to move to a digital platform to make collaboration a little bit easier. So this is a story map highlighted out with the pink ones being the major steps, the orange ones being the actions taken by the user, and then the green ones being the solutions proposed and to be explored even further. I think it's interesting to note that if we look back to Q3 and Q4, and let me see if I can skip back, because I might be. We can see this creation and validation, as to most of the important themes coming back. Let me skip again towards this place. We can see that here as well, activating CI and validating CI, and that kind of the last one, adjusting, also falls a little bit into that. But there are, the most important themes or steps of improvement where we can highlight the most improvement. So here you see them circled or highlighted, with the green ones representing areas of solutionized areas of opportunities. So there's lots of us to explore there. And let me see. This is a work in progress. So what are we doing right now is that we're intending to have the first impact with this on 12.8. We're following the product development workflow as been detailed before by Amelia. And the immediate next step for the exploration is that we're going to get cross-functional knowledge influencing the story map and brainstorm the opportunities together. So this is up next, and I'm very excited to do so. I think there's going to be great things coming out of it, and the story map kind of allows us to work together with product management engineering to see what is going to be in each iteration, what's going to be in 12.8, what's going to be in 12.9, et cetera, et cetera. And with that, we have a roadmap, or at least the beginning of a roadmap set up for improving this, a very important step for the CI stage group. With that, I hope I have talked a little bit to fill up the time. I want to say thanks so much to Nadia, to Lori, to Tao, everybody that has been involved. And if there are any questions, I would be happy to answer them. Thank you so much.